Okay, good evening. We're going to start. I just want to start by thanking everybody for coming tonight. I'm Dr. Reggio, I'm the middle school principal, and I am joined by Mrs. Fabian, the middle school assistant principal, and we're here tonight to talk about reopening the middle school during our global pandemic. So I hope everyone is having a healthy summer first and foremost. As you can imagine, here at the school, this has been the busiest summer ever, and we're committed to working diligently to ensure that we provide this community with the best possible reopening plan. So tonight, Mrs. Fabian and I are going to be doing a lot of talking, a lot of explaining. We're going to be talking about conceptual ideas, nitty-gritty details, and I just want to begin by sharing that we're doing the very best we can to protect the health and safety of our students, our staff, and our community. Health and safety is driving every decision that the school district is making. So please just keep that in mind as we move forward, as that's our #1 priority now, and it's going to be throughout the entire school year. The other thing I just want everybody to keep in mind is that this is a fluid plan. A procedure that Mrs. Fabian or I present tonight may look different by the first day of school. And that's because we're constantly meeting as administration with the faculty and teachers and reevaluating, discussing, and altering the plan as we move forward. And we're going to continue to do so. So a procedure that we put in place by first period, we might be changing it by 7th period if we think there's a safer way or a better way when we observe what is working and what is not working when we have our students in the school. We'll be getting feedback from all stakeholders, our staff members, our parents, our students, and we'll be consistently and constantly reviewing and looking to improve and tweak what we are doing here in the school. Next, I just wanted to reiterate that this is really a team effort, a community effort to pull off a successful hybrid model. Truly has to be a collaborative effort. So we just need to all work together like never before. And we're asking for the middle school parents to not only support, but reiterate at home and begin to explain the new norms to your children now prior to them entering the school. For example, mask wearing, right? If we're talking about the importance of mask wearing and a child is hearing a contradictory message at home, that's obviously not ideal. So we're just asking for you to start those conversations and start talking about the new norms in school with your children now. Start building their mask endurance, practicing frequent hand washing and sanitization, and discussing the importance of social distancing. We feel that together we'll have the most success as a school and as a district. So Center Moriches is doing what we're calling a phased reopening. And what does that mean? Why are we in the hybrid model? A phased reopening helps us test our systems, our protocols, our procedures, and our capabilities to adhere to the social distancing guidelines. And as things improve and as things go well, which we hope that they will, and everyone's healthy, our goal is, of course, to have our schools open to all of our students 100% of the time when it is safe to do so. So I just want to go through the format for tonight so everyone knows what to expect, and then we will get started with the details. So tonight we're going to go over the reopening plan in 4 categories. The 4 categories are overview and logistics, health and safety, mental health, and instruction. So Mrs. Fabian and I are going to go over that. Anything that we didn't cover, we will take in questions at the end. Thank you to the 50 of you that submitted questions already. We'll be answering those first and then opening it up to anything else that wasn't addressed during the meeting. I would like to start by just sharing our contact information with you. I'll be sharing my email address, Mrs. Fabian's, our phone numbers, and if there's a child-specific question or a specific concern related to the needs of your child, of course, this isn't the forum to do that. If you have a child-specific question, please call us, please email us. We're happy to talk to you and address your concerns or answer your questions. Or perhaps you're not comfortable asking a question in this format, that's fine, or you may think of something later on. So I'm just going to share my screen with you now. Okay. Okay, so that is my email address, mreggio@cmschools.org. Mrs. Fabian's is cfabian@cmschools.org. And your child's guidance counselor is Mr. Pepe, gpepe@cmschools.org. So if you have a question about schedules, which will be coming out next week, he's the person to email about that. And all of your child's teachers' email addresses are their first initial plus last name @cmschools.org. The middle school main office phone number is 631-878-2519. Mrs. Fabian and I are both here every day. You can reach us at that phone number. And we will be posting to our Twitter and Instagram this summer and throughout the school year, and they're both at Center Moriches MS. So just take note of that contact information, and we are always here, and we'll do our best to be as responsive as possible to all parent emails and phone calls. All right, I am now going to turn it over to Mrs. Fabian, who will start us off with the overview and logistics portion of tonight's presentation.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you again for joining us and supporting us here at the middle school. So as many of you may have heard, we're going to be operating on a red and a white cohort. Our red cohort is going to be assigned to students with the last name A through L, and our white cohort is going to be assigned to students with the last name M through Z. If you're in the red cohort, you're going to attend school on Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you'll attend school virtually. If you're in the white cohort, you're going to attend school on Thursday and Friday, and then vice versa, you'll attend school virtually on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We will be continuing to have A and B day here at the middle school. If your student's attending school 2 days a week, one day will be assigned an A day and the opposite day will be assigned a B day. In addition to that, our self-contained classrooms, our 811 and our 12-1 classrooms, they are going to attend school on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday will be a deep cleaning day here at the school, and students and faculty will be assigned to distance learning. The new bell schedule is now posted on the website in our instructional plan, so please take a look at that with your children. The district is also exploring a bring your own device policy, so there's going to be more to come regarding that policy and its implementation. For students that are arriving to school on the school bus, there will be monitors on each of the bus this year. The monitors are going to be asking if the children have taken their temperatures before they've gotten on the bus and if it was under 100. If not, the monitor will take your child's temperature. For students that are being dropped off at school by their parents, security and monitors are going to be posted at designated spots outside in the front. And they're also going to be ensuring that your child took their temperature at home before arriving to school and ensuring that that temperature was under 100. Buses and transportation will be phase 2 to avoid any crowding in entry or in the hallways. There's going to be signs in the halls that help our students understand what directions to move in and that also demonstrate healthy hygiene practices. Our halls are going to have 2 lanes laid out. Essentially, there will be single file lanes for our students to follow. Desks will be wiped and cleaned in between periods. Students who request to leave the class will be escorted by a monitor to the bathroom. There'll be 1 student using the restroom at a time. At the bell, students are going to be exiting their class in an orderly fashion with the assistance of the monitors and the teachers. And this is to assure, again, that our hallway regulations are being followed, those single lane lanes. Students should remain seated until the bell rings and avoid crowding at the hallway or at the door in the classroom. Additional staff is going to be posted out in the halls to help with all the transitions throughout the school day. There will be no use of lockers this year in the middle school. No hallway lockers, no physical education lockers, and no music lockers. The teachers have been made aware of this, and they are going to be limiting the supplies that the students are required to bring to and from school every day. So we've also received many questions about our cafeteria procedures. Our students are going to be assigned to the cafeteria or the gymnasium for lunch, and everybody will be sitting at a single desk. Each of the desks are located 6 feet apart. Each student can get a grab-and-go lunch. We will have a hot and a cold option for our students. A la carte offerings are going to be water and chocolate chip cookies for now, but as we move forward, we can reevaluate that. Rec will be outdoors still, and it will be offered on a staggered basis, weather permitting. And that's it. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Reggio.
Okay, thank you. The next category that we're going to be going over tonight is, in my opinion, the most important category, and that's health and safety. So as I alluded to earlier, the first and most important item is masks. So masks are going to be worn by all students, all faculty, and all staff members throughout the entire school day. except of course when they're eating their lunch. Mask breaks will be built in throughout the school day while students are appropriately socially distant so that they get a break from wearing their mask. It's vitally important that students are compliant. Again, please practice at home now so that students can start building up their mask endurance. And students will only be permitted into the building if they're mask compliant. Social distancing is the second most important item in our health and safety plan. And social distancing for us is 6 feet apart. In our classrooms, our desks will be 6 feet apart. We'll show you a photo of a classroom a little bit later in the presentation. And social distancing for what we call super spreading events is 12 feet apart. So that is in areas such as chorus or aerobic activities such as physical education. Students will be 12 feet apart. Hand dryers have been disabled in our student bathrooms and replaced with hand towels, paper towels. Hand sanitizer is in every single classroom, in the lobby, and in the halls, and students will be sanitizing their hands upon entering and exiting all classrooms. They can bring their own hand sanitizer to school. That was a question that we received. You can send your child in with their own hand sanitizer if you prefer. Contact tracing, I'll be going over that a little bit at the end of the health and safety section, but basically we'll be working with the Department of Health and tracking the movements to the best of our ability of all our students and all our staff. Like Mrs. Fabian talked about, students going into the bathroom, signing in to use the bathroom. They're going to be using the bathroom one at a time. We won't have visitors in the building, and providing, should there be a positive case, we'll be working directly with the Department of Health so that they can do the appropriate contact tracing necessary. We have an isolation room set up. So if we have what is referred to as a person under investigation, that's a person that's exhibiting symptoms that are aligned with COVID-19, student or staff member, they will be going to the isolation room and a child will be getting picked up by their parent. Their parent won't be entering the building, but they'll be waiting outside and we'll be escorting your child out to you. And I will be showing you the plan on the website for more details on what will happen if that occurs in our school. Teachers will be trained to observe the signs and symptoms of COVID, fever, flushed cheeks, coughing, body aches, fatigue, congestion, runny nose, etc. If they have a concern, someone that they're observing in the classroom exhibiting these symptoms, or myself because of a staff member, that person will be sent directly to the nurse's office for a determination moving forward, and will be leaving the building. As I said, no visitors will be allowed in our buildings. We'll be running all parent meetings in a similar format to this using Google Meets or Zoom. That will include our CSEs, multiple failure meetings, a team meeting, disciplinary meeting if necessary, will all take place during Zoom, parent-teacher conferences, open house, things of that nature. As Mrs. Fabian said, we will not be using lockers or locker rooms to start the school year. Although we do have lockers assigned to all students in our eSchool system, they won't be printed on your child's schedule for them to utilize at this time. But again, it is our hope to have all of our students back in a healthy fashion at the end of the school year, at which time, if it's deemed safe to use lockers, we will eagerly assign them to them. I know that they enjoy getting their lockers, especially our 6th graders. Sharing of supplies is highly, highly discouraged. And won't be happening in school. If a teacher for some reason has to have a shared supply between the student, it will be disinfected in between students. But again, supplies really will not be shared this school year. Cleaning supplies are in all classrooms: paper towels, cleaning spray, hand sanitizer. The air filters have all been changed in the air conditioners in the classrooms. Ms. Fabian went over bus procedures, but I'm just going to go over it a little bit in the eyes of health and safety. Children will be seated one to a seat. Family members, students in the same household are asked to sit in the same seat. As Mrs. Fabian said, parents will have to be at the bus stop with their middle school child. We got that question a few times. They will be answering the question from the monitor on the bus if their child has a temperature over 100. If there is not an adult present, then your child's temperature will be taken upon getting on the bus. Parents will be asked to complete a weekly health questionnaire. That will be on Wednesdays. Our faculty and staff members will be completing it daily, and we're going to ask parents to complete it weekly, answering questions such as, does your child have a temperature over 100? Have you been in contact with anyone that has COVID-19 in the past 14 days? Does your child have any shortness of breath? Things of that nature. It's about 4 questions long. I'm going to share my screen now and share our contact tracing and testing documents with you and show you where to find them on the website, as they are important for everybody to read when they can. Okay, so this is our district website. The second item here is district reopening information. You're going to click on that. At the bottom here, you'll see our instructional plan, the contact tracing plan, and the testing plan. We're going to start with the testing plan. Okay, this, I'm not going to read the entire thing to you, but it goes over, like I said, signs and symptoms of COVID-19, daily temperature checks. I'm going to go down to the most frequently asked questions, which is students that exhibit symptoms. What will happen if the child exhibits symptoms in school? Like I said, the person under investigation will be placed in isolation. Staff will supervise students in these locations. Parents and guardians will be notified immediately, and that your child will be required to be picked up from school. Like I said, parents will not be permitted into the building, and students will be escorted out to meet with their parents. Students will be referred to consult with a medical provider. And if the opinion of the school nurse, the child is suffering from severe shortness of breath, of course, their vitals are not stable, and it's a critical situation. Just like always, if we can't get in contact with the parent, we will be calling an ambulance if we feel like it's a critical situation. Okay, moving down, there's resources here if you need a doctor or need help getting tested. This is the other question that is coming up quite often, is what are your protocols for students that test positive from COVID-19? So the DISH student will immediately again be placed on isolation at home for at least 10 days. The district will assist with the local Department of Health in contact tracing efforts by providing a list of probable close contacts in the school. That's what I alluded to before, that we're going to be signing students in and out of bathrooms, classroom rosters, etc., to work in concert with the Department of Health. The identification of close contacts will begin 48 hours before the student became symptomatic. The students that test positive should follow the established guidelines as set by the CDC and the Department of Health for ending isolation. This is an important piece. Regardless of the Department of Health clearance letter, at a minimum, each of the following conditions must be met. At least 10 days have expired since the onset of symptoms. The majority of symptoms have substantially improved or resolved, and there's been no fever for at least 72 hours. So just to summarize, any student that leaves the school with symptoms of COVID-19 must have clearance from a doctor to re-enter the school, saying that their symptoms were not due to COVID-19. In essence, they had a negative test, or they were due to, like it says here at the top, re-entry to school. They were documentation that the symptoms were associated with another medical condition, for example, allergies. So clearance from a doctor is required. A few parents wanted to make sure that that was the case in our school district. Yes, it is. Students clearance from a medical provider that indicates negative COVID-19 or documentation that symptoms were associated with another medical condition is required if a student leaves the school with symptoms associated with COVID-19. Okay, the other document that I wanted to point out is the contact tracing plan. It's right here. This explains what contact tracing is and Center Moriches' plan for contact tracing. One of the biggest pieces that we're doing for contact tracing is the cohorts of students. That's the thinking behind the red and white cohorts, as well as the deep cleaning day in between. This is the contact tracing plan. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Fabian, who will continue in the health field and talk about mental health.
So every one of us had different experiences during the COVID-19 outbreak. Some of us lost our loved ones, some of us suffered financial losses, and all of us lost out on social opportunities throughout quarantine. We're all adjusting back together and need to be mindful of everybody's different experiences. Our focus is to provide as much information to you, our parents, and our families, so that together we can help our children transition back to school. We're working with our teachers and staff on creating a safe, familiar, comfortable environment for our students while teaching and modeling our new norms. It's going to take time for all of us to adjust to our new norms. And we are being patient with our children, and we're hoping that too, while you are experiencing some of the frustrations that they may share as they transition home, that you too are patient with them. They might get frustrated about wearing masks for long periods of time, missing out on social opportunities with their friends at lunch, and just some of the new atmosphere in school that they're not familiar with. So support them as much as you can while they're learning and adjusting. Our comfort levels are going to be evolving throughout this whole entire phased opening. We're going to monitor our students' social and emotional needs. In the middle school, we have our guidance counselor, Mr. Pepe, a school social worker, and our psychologist, Mrs. Trujillo, as part of our team, and we want to work together with you and your family. As Dr. Reggio has already stated, please feel free to contact our main office if in particular your child has any concerns related to their social emotional needs as they're adjusting back to school. Go ahead, Dr. Reggio.
Okay, I'm going to continue with the fourth category, which is instruction. So I just want to start by sharing that the district is committed to, first and foremost, equitable instructional practices. It is committed to providing access for all students and families, especially in regards to resources and supports necessary that may be outside of the student's control. And we will be here to support families that have any needs such as that. And again, we encourage you to contact the main office if your family is in need of assistance. And this is including to, but certainly not limited to, laptop computers, Wi-Fi access, supplies, equipment, counseling, mental health support, again, or any assistance that are needed beyond the control of the student. So please contact us. We're here for you and we want to help you and make sure that your family has access to their, education in the full capacity, and there's nothing hindering that. The district places a priority, as always, on diversity, equity, and inclusivity in a variety of ways, and one of those ways is in equity of access. So when instruction is presented in a synchronous model, the learning activities and content will be posted for future students' access and viewing. So if we have parents that are working during the day and they would like to assist their students in the evening hours, they will be able to do so. The district will provide appropriate technology resources, including devices, as I said, Chromebooks, wireless access, and support to any family that requires access. The districts will provide all documents to any families in their native language, and we are committed to providing outreach and support in the native language of each family in our district. And again, the district will be continuing to request feedback from all stakeholders and groups regarding our instructional plan. We will be reviewing that as well as the health and safety of our students on a regular basis to ensure that we are utilizing best practices and have the appropriate support in place for all of our families, regardless of if they chose to have their students come in 2 days a week or if they are on a full distance learning model. So what exactly does that look like? Teachers will teach to all students on their roster, regardless of the mode of delivery, meaning the master schedule has remained intact. And why is that important? It makes for a seamless transition from the hybrid model, which we're currently in. Your child will be attending or can attend 2 days in person and 3 days virtual. But keeping the master schedule intact allows for a seamless transition from hybrid to full in person or possibly full distance learning if we have to do so for the health and safety of our students. So that means that your child's teachers won't be changing, their schedule won't be changing, and ease of transition will be in place. So teachers will deliver instruction either through live synchronous model or an asynchronous model or a combination of both. It will vary and teacher to teacher. So the optimal method of instruction is to deliver a live synchronous instruction that's recorded with the videos posted to ensure equity of access for all students, like I said. So if your family is working and you need to access the videos at a later time, it's not going to be a situation where your child has to be logged in at 9:32 when fourth period starts to access their math lesson. The ideal method for us is live, as I said, recording and postings for access for all. For teachers who implement an asynchronous model, that will look like the minimum expectation is that the hybrid model and the remote models have access to the same content and it's consistent and aligned to the instruction taking place in the classroom. So at the very least, what your child will see is a pre-recorded video. It might not be live in the classroom, but a pre-recorded video that is posted by the teacher for your child to view at home. The video lessons may include teacher-created video content and appropriate video content that's in alignment with the curriculum, again, presented in the classroom that day. All students will have access to the teacher's office hours and support every day. And that means that they can make an appointment with their teacher and do something similar to this and have an office hour, a live chat with their teacher. Middle school teachers will be utilizing Google Classroom as the hub, we'll say, of their distance learning activities, meaning every classroom will have a code, as your children were familiar with, those of you that were in middle school last year. Google Classroom will use as the hub. What will be different will be, instead of just having something posted to the Google Classroom, in this scenario moving forward, your child will have access to a video. Students will be released, as Mrs. Fabian said, approximately an hour early from school, approximately 1:35 p.m. And that allows the teachers to have an hour at the end of the school day to connect with your children if they're in the red cohort on the opposite days, or if your child is home distance learning all the time. Parents, as I said, do have the option to keep their child home on full distance learning if that's something that they choose. Most of you have filled out the return to school survey. If you have not already done so, please call the main office at 631-878-2519 to indicate the direction you're looking to go with your child, or if you feel like perhaps a change needs to be made for your family, let us know as soon as possible, as that information is changing every day, and we are consistently updating that information to ensure that our rosters are accurate, our classroom assignments are accurate, and that we can appropriately socially distance students according to the number of students assigned to the class and their location. Right now, approximately 15% of our students are on full distance learning. It is going up slightly each day. Attendance will be taken of all kids every day. So that includes the students that are in class and the students that are home. The teachers will be taking attendance every day. Re-entry for students who choose distance learning. So if you're a family that chose distance learning to start the year, the re-entry points will be the first day of each marking period. Grading will be back to traditional grading, 0 to 100 to start the school year, and all labs will be done virtually. Okay, the next piece. So we have, at the conclusion of this presentation, actually, I'm going to be posting a video for our 6th graders, which we're very excited about. We've been working on it all week. I think you're going to love it, 6th graders. If you're there, we look forward to meeting you next week. The video is 35 minutes long. I'm not going to be showing it tonight because the video quality over Zoom doesn't translate well, but it will be on our website. So even if you don't have a 6th grader, I encourage you to watch the video. It will be posted, as I said, at the conclusion of this presentation, because what you will see are peeks into each classroom. So I think the best way for you to see what a socially distant classroom looks like is to see it for yourself. So we show you the cafeteria with the desks. We show you the classrooms. You get to see all your new teachers for 6th graders. And for our 6th graders, I give you a tour of the building with Mrs. Fabian. You get to see the faces of all of your new teachers, a presentation from Mr. Pepe, your counselor, and a presentation from Mrs. Moriches about our International Baccalaureate Middle Years program. So even if you don't have a 6th grader, I encourage you to watch that so you can see the classrooms for yourself. Let's see. I was going to show it, but I'm not going to. Let's jump to our pre-submitted questions. So thank you to the parents that submitted questions. We had 50 responses. 50 of you submitted questions. Some of you submitted 1, some of you submitted 5. So what we did was we addressed about 30 so of those responses in our overview that we gave already. And we have about 20 of them that we're going to do kind of Q&A style. I'll ask Ms. Fabian a question, she'll ask me a question, and we'll get through those last about 20 questions from the people that we did not get addressed. And then after we go through those pre-submitted questions, we'll open it up for questions to anybody for anything that we did not already touch on. You ready, Mrs. Fabian? I'm going to share the screen. You're on mute. Okay, I'm going to share the screen so everybody can see. This is the video that I was referring to. I'm not going to play it because the sound quality won't translate, but I will post it at the end of this presentation. Okay, so Mrs. Fabian, just unmute yourself so that they can hear. Oh, she can't unmute herself. Okay.
I got her. Hold on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Novi. Can you do it, Mr. Nopi?
Yes.
Okay.
Just, oh, there we go.
I'm sure my family at home wishes that they had a mute button for me too. So tell us, Dr. Reggio, when it will be the first day of school this year?
Okay, so the first day of school is Tuesday, September 8th. Actually, I'm going to exit this and pull up a document that was just posted to our website right here. So Dr. Massera actually just sent this out today. This is a calendar of the first 2 weeks of school. And this was based on feedback from our families, actually, in our presentations yesterday by Mr. Ritchie and Mr. Thode. So this was actually adjusted. This is quite a perfect example of what I alluded to before, that our presentation, our procedures and policies are going to consistently be updated based on feedback. So the first day of school, like I said, is Tuesday, September 8th. What's going to be different now is that this is now going to be a distance learning day for all students, in essence, in orientation. There were a lot of questions from parents last night as far as, how do I get the supplies, and what is my child going to be ready for distance learning on the first day of school? Well, they're going to have a kind of a warm-up day here. This will be their distance learning orientation day, where teachers can get your child set up, logged in, kind of the lay of the land, and they can learn what they need to do for distance learning, get any supplies necessary, kind of have an orientation day. So that'll be Tuesday, September 8th. Wednesday, just the first week, will be a red day in school. Thursday will be that deep cleaning day, like I said, for the cohorts, and Friday will be for the white team in school. Starting the second week of school, which will be September 14th, we'll start with what is our new normal, which is red cohort on Mondays and Tuesdays, white on Thursdays and Fridays. And Wednesdays is a distance learning day for all and a deep cleaning day. So that is a calendar of the first 2 weeks of school. Future weeks will look just like the week of September 14th. Okay. Can everyone see? Let's see. And here. Okay. All right, Mrs. Fabian, we'll continue. You ready? Is it possible to have someone come into my home to help my child with their assignments?
So teachers will not be coming into your home to assist with assignments. However, they will be working at the school with teaching our students both in person and via distance learning. They will be able to communicate with your child, however, virtually via Zoom or Google Meet, by phone, through Google Classroom, and via email. How are we going to get our children to socially distance? Isn't it hard for some adults to follow?
Yes. I chuckled at this question because it is true. We all probably have been to the food store with our masks, and we see people that are going the wrong way in the one ways and are not following kind of the procedure set in place. So yes, we agree. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it as a team. We're going to do it with the help of our faculty, our staff, our monitors that we're hiring. We're going to do it with your help, reiterating kind of the procedures that we're putting in place. So we already have the classrooms set. They are socially distanced. You'll see that in the video tonight. They are 6 feet apart in all classrooms. And in the hallways, we're going to have lanes set up, in essence, kind of like back to elementary school. They're going to be single file, kind of one-way lanes, and it will be a new normal for our kids for right now. The first week is really going to be focused on teaching our students what we need to do in the building to stay safe. So how are we going to do it? We're going to do it by talking to our students. We're going to be explaining to them why we're doing what we're doing, so they don't just think, you know, this is silly, we're back in single file lines. Why are we only walking one way in our hallways? We're going to be talking to them about why it's important for everyone's health and safety. So we're just asking you to do that as well. And I think together as a community, we'll be able to do this for our students. Okay, Mrs. Fabian. Statistics show that districts that opened in person have almost all had a surge in COVID cases, and they have had to scale back and switch to full distance learning. If this happens in New York, how will this work?
So we are following our governors and the CDC guidelines regarding infection rate and school reopening. In the event we experience a COVID-related closure or a disruption to our academic program, we will maintain instruction similar to our current distance learning plan. We will be sure to communicate with all families if this is the case and provide great detail on how it will look. All right, Dr. Reggio, are students going to be changing classes?
Yes, students will be changing classes at the middle school. As I said earlier, their master schedule is intact. Their schedules are intact. You will be receiving them next week, and they will be changing classes. I kind of answered this. Mrs. Fabian, will our students be receiving their schedules?
So our 6th grade students are going to receive their schedule when they come in for their designated tour time next week. Again, we're looking forward to meeting you. Our 7th and 8th grade schedules will be mailed home on Monday, and all schedules will be posted on the portal by Wednesday. What courses will students be taking?
Okay, so all students will be taking all of their classes. So I know some people were concerned, are my students only taking their core classes? No, students will be taking all of their classes when they come to school, and they'll be taking all of their classes when they're on distance learning. Band and chorus is also being offered. That's a later question, so I will wait for that. Will there be direct contact with teachers during the school day?
Yes, the district has posted an instructional plan on the website. Our hybrid learning students and those students on distance learning will be exposed to the same lesson as the students in school.
They'll also have the office hours, like I spoke earlier, where they can contact their teachers for individual needs and set up like a Zoom with their teachers.
Okay. Are our middle school students on the same schedule as our high school students?
Yes, middle school and high school students will be following the same bell schedule. Will there still be band and chorus, and where will they take place?
Yes, middle school band is currently scheduled to take place in the middle school gym, and chorus is going to take place in the auditorium. How will students with IEPs receive their mandated services and support?
Okay, so you're going to work directly with your special education teacher. Your special education teacher will be providing all of the supports that are on your child's IEP, both in person and virtually. I saw some amazing things in the spring. I'm sure that will even be enhanced as we move forward, but I saw some of our middle school special ed teachers providing students with test reds accommodations and a host of other things. So accommodations, all accommodations and supports, including speech, counseling, OT, PT, test red, extended time, all supports included in IEP will be given to students both virtually and in person. If you have any questions about your specific child's IEP, as I said, or your specific children's supports, just call me, call Mrs. Fabian. We'll be happy to go over your child's specific IEP with you over the summer. If my child's on the hybrid plan, can they switch to full-time distance learning?
Yes, your child can switch to distant learning at any point in time, but keep in mind if you start on distant learning and wish to return, the re-entry times will be at the marking period. So that means if you're on distance learning and you want to come back to school, you can only return on the first day of the second quarter. Where will physical education classes take place, and will they be changing in the locker rooms?
Physical education classes will be taking place outdoors on nice days, and inclement weather, they will be assigned to a classroom, socially distanced, of course, 6 feet apart. And no, they will not be changing in the locker room. Students will be asked to wear sneakers on physical education days. They will not be changing. Will the district notify parents if there is a positive COVID case in the building or in the district?
Yeah, so Dr. Reggio went over our COVID tracing plans already, and they're posted on the website for review. But yes, you're notified by the Department of Health and the district as well. Okay, when will we receive information on how to begin distance learning and what is required of my child?
Okay, so you will receive information on that very first day of school. We're actually going to be looking to post at the middle school on our staff conference days, which are the days before the official first day of school when we have our teachers back. Right now, as you know, our teachers are on summer vacation. They've been great. We've had faculty meetings, but they will be back with us the week before your children start. And at that time, we'll be collecting all the Google Classroom codes, and just check our website. Of course, I'll send out communication, but in essence, what will happen is a chart will go up for each grade, and that will include every class and the codes for the Google Classrooms. And then on that first day of school, your child's going to log into all of their classrooms and make sure that they're acclimated and contact their teacher if they have any trouble doing so. By doing that, we'll have that first day of school to address any issues, connectivity issues or access issues that you have. Our phones will be open and we'll be able to help families if they need help. How often will the plan be reevaluated to determine if it's safe for all students to return full time?
Good question. So like Dr. Reggio pointed out earlier, there's going to be constant reevaluation. We have an official reevaluation date built in, I believe it's September 21st, and that will give us about 2 weeks to look back on and see how things are going within the school building. Can sixth graders attend CHAMP at Clayton Huey on the 2 days that they attend?
So unfortunately, no, this year sixth graders cannot attend CHAMP at Clayton Huey, and that's strictly for health and safety reasons to avoid cross-contamination. What time will the doors of the school physically open for students to enter?
Great. So students participating in band and chorus class is going to begin at 7:20. They can enter the building at approximately 7:10. The second bus run for second period will begin at approximately 8:02, that class, second period. Doors will open at 7:55. Students will not need to go to the locker and they'll just be reporting directly to their second period class. Is it possible to have a hybrid model in which students go to school on Wednesdays?
So yes, when it is safe and if it is safe and if things are going well, that's what those look back periods are for. Our goal, as I said, is to bring all of our students back full time. So the next phase of our phased reopening will be that Wednesday. If we are able to do that, we will start with Wednesdays and start bringing students back there, of course, alternating red and white if it's safe. So that is in essence the reason for our phased reopening. We're going to be testing all of our protocols, procedures, and systems to make sure we are safe and we can do this well and safely for your children. Okay, so I just want to thank the 50 parents that submitted questions. I think that we were able to handle all those in a time efficient manner, so that that was very helpful. So thank you to those of you that did that. And I just want to open it up, Mr. Nofi, if you're ready.
We do have some questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to go over some of these maybe quickly before we open it up, because that could help too. One of them is about Chromebooks being distributed. We talked about that a little bit, that at the, we'll probably post a distribution day early in the school year so that you guys can get the proper materials that you need for your children's classes. Another question early on was about the cohorts. So just to reiterate that information, as my light in my office turns off, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see me. The red cohort is A through L. So if your last name is A through L, you are going to be assigned to the red cohort. That means that you attend school on Monday and Tuesday. Thank you for everybody chatting in the side.
Wow, I'm just reading it. Yeah. You are all amazing. Everyone asked the question and we had like a whole community come together and answer it. So thank you to everybody that was doing that while we were talking. That's so kind.
Our white cohort is M through Z. So you're going to attend school on Thursday and Friday. Again, if you have specific questions, just feel free to reach out and give us a call. Another good question that I saw on the side over here was about assigned seating during lunch. Yes, those seats will be assigned. Even in the classroom, the seats will be assigned. I'm trying to scan through.
Question about masks. So you can provide your child with your own mask. If a child forgets their mask, one will be provided to them. It looks just like this, the blue surgical masks. If your child forgets their mask, again, this is what they will be provided at school.
The district will probably also post some answers to the top 10 questions that pediatricians receive regarding children wearing masks. We'll post that too, so our families can take a look at that and go over some of the questions with maybe your child. People are asking about drop-off and dismissal time. Again, that's outlined in the instructional plan, which is fluid and changing. So as of right now, dismissal is at approximately 1:35. Again, that's to allow for that distance learning opportunity in the afternoon with our teachers and our students.
Can an 8th grader get off the bus without a parent? Yes, your child, so let me backtrack a little bit. Prior to this, middle school students did not have to be accompanied by a parent getting on or getting off their bus. The reason that we're asking parents to be there is there will be a monitor on the bus that's asking you to confirm that you took your child's temperature and that it was below 100. High school students are going to be answering for themselves. Elementary and middle school students have an adult answering for them. If you're not there for some reason, what's just going to happen is your child's temperature will be taken upon them getting onto the bus. Yes, there will be new drop-off procedures in the morning. You will see maps that will be posted on the website. Middle school drop-off, there'll be specific drop-off locations. When you pull up to the school, there will be a monitor or a security guard present that will meet you at your vehicle prior to your child exiting the vehicle, and they will ask you that same question, and you will confirm that yes, you took your child's temperature, it was below 100.0, and you will be leaving. If you indicate that you did not take your child's temperature, you don't know your child's temperature, or that they, of course, had a fever, the child will not be exiting the vehicle, will take their temperature. If you didn't, and of course, if you indicate that it was over 100, we're not going to allow the child to exit the car, they'll just go home with you.
A lot of questions about supplies again. So when we met with the faculty earlier this week, we did talk to them about the supply list, and they understand that the students are not going to be using their lockers. So they're going to be sensitive to limiting the tools that are required for the students to have in class each evening. I mean, each day, I'm sorry. Evening now.
Great question about walkers. Yes, you can certainly do that and indicate in a written form. There will be people outside for walkers to take their temperature as well. Parents will not be required to sign a form daily. It's going to be verbal. They're going to fill out the questionnaire once a week online. If anyone has a question that they would like to ask verbally, you can use the raise hand feature, and Mr. Nofi will unmute you and you can ask your question out loud if you prefer that method. There is a raised hand feature in Zoom. Oh, sports. No, currently there are no full sports. We will be updating you if that changes, but right now there will be no clubs or sports to start the school year. Both. The health questionnaire will be sent to you, yes, via email, through our ConnectEd system, and it'll be in a Google form, so it can also be posted on our website. Children using their own devices. We are currently looking into what we call a bring your own device policy to see if children can bring those devices to school. Of course, our optimal situation is for all students to be able to bring their device to school and home. So we're doing everything that we can to make that happen. That's currently being investigated and discussed daily and on the table. So we will let you know about that, but our goal is yes. There are not aftercare programs for 6th graders or any middle school students.
We're not mandating COVID tests before school begins. Just if your student or your child exhibits any of the symptoms, they will have to have testing done. Documentation will have to be provided before they return.
Yeah, no, we're going to ask students to wear cloth face coverings such as this.
We have to ensure that their nose and their mouths are fully covered. How will detentions work? Well, since it's my first year as assistant principal, I'm really hoping I don't have to give out many of them. But if we have to work something out, we'll work something out. Again, we're going to be in constant communication together. So let's try not to worry about that now.
So middle school students all have lunch on their schedule. If there's an individual, I don't know if this person may be referring to a high school student, which some students elect at the high school to take extra class instead of lunch. Middle school students all have lunch. 6th graders will have lunch during period 5. 7th graders will have lunch during period 6, and 8th graders will have lunch during period 7. And they will be split between the cafeteria and the gym. The only exception to that is our algebra lab. And again, that is their working lunch period. So during lunch, students will not be required to wear their masks, of course, because they're eating, and the desks will be spaced out, so that it is safe to do so. Mr. Nofi, do you have anyone with their raised hand feature that wants to ask a question verbally, or not yet?
No hands raised yet.
All right, everyone's into the chat. Okay, estimate on percentage of students that are returning to school in person versus 100% online. Right now, we're about a little over 15% are full distance learning. Yes, that was the algebra lab that I was talking about. Chorus will be taking place in the auditorium. They will be spaced out at 12 feet apart in the auditorium, and band will be taking place in the middle school gym again, 12 feet apart.
So everywhere the students sit, regardless of it's in the classroom, the auditorium, the lunchroom, the gymnasium, all the desks are set 6 feet apart to ensure our student safety. The guidelines say that a mask and if you can't be 6 feet apart, to wear a mask. So to ensure the safety during lunch, we are ensuring that the desks are 6 feet apart while the students have their masks removed to eat. We measured in between desks with our custodial team. The state provided us a social distancing calculator that helped us measure out our rooms and our spaces to ensure that we were measuring accurately.
To answer your question specifically, it's edge of the workspace to edge of the workspace. That's how the 6 feet was measured.
Good question about hand washing. So the students are going to be encouraged to hand wash throughout the day. I know the district was looking into the portable hand washers. Dr. Massara had received that question on a previous forum. There's also going to be sanitizing locations throughout the building, and teachers have individual sanitizers as well in their classrooms for the students to utilize. Students are also welcome to bring their own sanitizer in.
Time in between classes. Right now there's 4 minutes between each period. Students will be able to go both ways, but in one lane. So in essence, there'll be a large no-fly zone in the middle, and there will be one lane on either, going in either direction in the hallway. There's extended time, 4 minutes instead of the usual 3 minutes, really to make sure that we can disinfect the desks in the classrooms before the next class comes in.
So as Dr. Reggio explained when she went over the instructional plan, that if lessons are going to be live, and does that mean that students will be in the classroom? Will they be recorded? No, students will not be recorded in the classroom.
So what that might look like is just like I'm recording this Zoom call. If I'm a teacher and I have a presentation that I'm showing on my smartboard, I may choose to audio record or screen share, like screen record like I'm doing now. So your child at home, I can record my presentation of my lesson. Maybe it's not all 43, 38, it's usually now it'll be 38-minute periods. It might not be the whole lesson, but maybe before the independent practice takes place in the classroom, I might be recording the 15 or 20 minutes that I'm presenting to the class on the smartboard. So your child might see, just like this will be posted to the district website, an audio. They might not see their teacher, but they might hear their teacher's voice and watch what they're presenting on the smartboard. That's one option. So that's an example of how that would be a live synchronous model, recorded and posted after without children in the video. Okay, so 6th grade band and chorus schedule. I also want to just share this. All 6th grade families, as you saw in the letter that we sent home a couple weeks ago, are invited to the school next week. If you did not see that letter on the website or you didn't get it in the mail, just check the district website. You're invited to the school next week to receive your students' class schedule and to walk the halls and tour the building with your child. You do need to wear a mask. We will be asking you those safety questions about your temperature before entering, and you will be signing in for contact tracing. But what I wanted to say was any questions that a sixth grader or a sixth grade parent has, Mrs. Fabian and I will both be here to answer any other questions that you think of regarding logistics of the middle school. We usually do that at 6th grade orientation, and we wanted to provide the incoming 6th graders with that same opportunity to meet us and get to ask her questions face to face. So we will be doing that next week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 to 12 according to alphabet from last name. So if any questions that don't get answered tonight, or if you have more building specific questions, we'll be happy to talk to you next week in person. Band and chorus schedule. So band and chorus are every day. So band and chorus at the middle school are period 1. It's actually a class in our school. It's not a club or an extracurricular activity. It's a class. The students do get a grade just like math and social studies. And the way that it works is if your child is just in chorus, they'll come to school every day and they'll have chorus every day. If your child's just taking bands, they'll have band every day. And if your child is taking band and chorus, which they can do, they'll go every other day, band, chorus, according to our A day, B day schedule. Students that elect not to participate in band and chorus actually come in a little bit later, and they come in and their first period is really period 2 for our bell schedule. So that's how band and chorus is scheduled.
I see an 8th grade parent is concerned about their child's schedule. You could just reach out to me and I'll get you connected with Mr. Pepe, our guidance counselor, and we could take a closer look at your scheduling needs. And the children will be switching classes. The classrooms will consist of different students each period with your child, but the cohort will remain the same. So again, everybody in that classroom will have a last name A through L and be in the same cohort to maintain the what am I trying to say? Like the composition of the cohort. New
There's
students.
some questions about changes to your schedule. I didn't register for band and chorus. I want to take it, or I don't, I'm in it and I want out. If you have a question about adding or dropping band or chorus or any other specific classes for your child, you can contact myself. You can contact Mrs. Fabian, or you can contact Mr. Pepe, their guidance counselor, and any one of us will be able to walk you through, answer any of your questions, and add or drop any classes that are needed.
In regards to the A and B day, it is going to be a rotating schedule. That calendar will also always be posted on the website so that you can ensure with your child what day it is before they enter school.
Approximately how many children are physically in each classroom on red and white days? So that's really the importance of the return to school questionnaires that you filled out. So Mrs. Fabian every day and I are going through the rosters child by child, and we have a line drawn across the bottom. So in essence, the child's rosters and the teacher's rosters, as I said, are staying intact. And what we have is on Wednesdays, in essence, the red cohort and the white cohort will come together and be one class. And should we return to a full in-person model, the red cohort and the white cohort that both have, say, Mrs. Glenn period 2 will be her period 2 class, and they'll come together. So they'll be apart as long as we need them to be apart, and in essence they're one class. So what we do is we're going through alphabetically, making sure that the classes are pretty balanced, A to L, M to Z. We're then taking out the students that are on full distance learning and making sure the capacity of our classrooms is safe for the students. So right now we have about a maximum of 12 students in any one classroom at a time. Some of them there'll be 9, some of them it might be 10, 11. It's all
it depends on the class and the setting. Like, for example, chorus is going to have more students in it, but we have chorus set up in the auditorium.
Right. It goes by the size of the instructional space that we're using. So times of buses, bus routes and bus times and bus stops, pickups will be posted on the website probably next week. Bus routes are not being mailed home next week. They will be posted on the district website when they are finalized. As you can imagine, this year, as opposed to many other years, the bus routes will look different on Monday and Tuesday than they'll look on Thursday and Friday, because we're busing completely different students. So usually the bus routes are the same every day. This year they will not be. So bus routes will look different. So it's much more time consuming to develop. So when they are finalized, they will be posted on the district website. Special education, 1211 and 811. Special education students in our self-contained classes, our 811 and our 1211 classes, are coming all 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Mr. Nofi, just jump in if you see anyone with a hand raised, and I'll stop answering questions from the chat and I'll take a verbal question if we have any. I don't want to miss anyone.
Okay, no problem. Nobody raised
Thank
yet.
you. All right.
On the distance learning days, should my child follow the same schedule as to the time that he or she attends? For example, if they have math, first period or second period, should they be on for math that period? So you're going to work with your classroom teacher on that. Like Dr. Reggio had presented before on the synchronous and asynchronous models of distance learning. So you'll have your classroom code for Google Classroom, and you'll pay attention to the assignments that the teacher is giving there and the videos that they're posting from there.
Okay, band students with no lockers, what are they doing with their instruments? So we have, I worked with our band teachers at the high school and the middle school. They actually came in over the summer, met with Mr. Thode and I, and we have some plans in place to have every student will have a label. There will be a location in the music area that will be secured, and their instrument will be going kind of right on their name on their label. We're going to be using the stage for part of that for the middle school, and their instruments will be secured for them for the day in a location in the music wing, so they do not have to carry them around. So we know that would be quite cumbersome, especially for the size of some of our students' instruments.
Teachers are going to be able to interact with students on distance learning daily from 1:35 to 2:30. That's why we have the earlier dismissal time arranged, so that we can ensure our teachers have that opportunity to provide our distance learning with any extra support or instruction that they may need.
So why are they not allowed to remove their masks during class? And that's simply for health and safety reasons. Wearing masks is the #1 thing that we can do to ensure the health and safety of our students, and that's our #1 priority and goal. We know that it will be difficult. We know that students may not, I shouldn't make that assumption, may not be used to wearing masks for that duration of time right now. So we're asking you to please practice with your child their mask endurance. It is important, and it is something that we're committed to K-12. And again, we know that it's going to be hard. It's hard for adults. But it really is the #1 thing. We feel that, and socially distancing and hand washing that we can do to keep our students safe, which again is our #1 priority. So in the cafeteria, of course, we need to let our students eat. So they're going to have to take their masks off to eat. It's, that's just a necessity. Students will be seated as far apart as possible, and they will be allowed to take their masks off to eat because that's what's necessary. Of course, masks all day is our preference, but we do provide our students with lunch, and they do need to take their masks off to eat their lunch.
We will be sending out that weekly check-in, that weekly health check-in with our families too, to ensure that there wasn't any thing that we missed during the week with their child or anything else that we need to review, and reviewing everybody's health check-in weekly.
So Melanie, sorry if I missed your question earlier. Any question that we missed, just so you know, is not intentional. We're going to answer every single question tonight. It's just we're trying to read the chat and answer at the same time. So we're scrolling and reading and answering. So again, a question, so I apologize, Melanie, for that, but the question was about bus monitors and staffs taking all the kids' temperatures instead of verbally asking parents. Yes, we did discuss that. What we're going to do is ask for the community support in doing so. We talked about having students arrive from, out of the buses and having a large congregation of students, out of our buildings every day, and the time that would take, and the safety aspect. We had safety concerns. Other safety concerns of having large amounts of students standing in front of our school waiting to get their temperature taken. So after a long discussion with our administrative team, we felt like the safest thing across the board would be to work with our families, ask our families when they can to take their temperature. Again, if you can't take your child's temperature, we will be doing it when they arrive. But if everyone can work together and take their child's temperature before school, we feel like it will definitely be the safest thing for our students.
And feel free to raise your hand to ask a question verbally if you'd like.
You're welcome. I saw about an end time. We don't have a scheduled end time tonight. We are committed to answering everybody's questions, so we are going to be here until we're able to do that. And again, any questions that don't get, that you may not feel comfortable asking now or that you think of later as you kind of process everything you learned tonight, email us or call us anytime and we'll be happy to speak with you.
The end of the day right now is slated for about 1:35. Our students will be getting on their school buses.
So the question about the 12-1-1. So if your child's in a 12-1-1 class and you have a specific question about this, call me and I'll help explain it. But I've been working with our self-contained teachers to ensure that we're not cross-contaminating the students in the cohort. So if your child's in a 12-1-1 placement, for example, and they push out and mainstream for a specific subject, they'll be doing that with one cohort of students. And on the other cohort days, they'll be accessing that curriculum via distance learning in their classroom with their self-contained teacher, again, so as not to cross-contaminate the cohort. So we're working really hard to keep our red and white separate. So that's how that will work. And again, if you have a specific question about that, just call me and I'll be happy to go over your schedule with your child's schedule with you, excuse me.
Are there going to be virtual clubs? Sadly, most of our clubs and after-school activities are not going to run this year. There are a select few that are going to, such as Junior Honor Society, because our students have been working on their applications and applying. And I think there's a few more, right, Dr. Reggio?
Yes, sorry, I was reading. Yeah, National Junior Honor Society applications are due. I'm sure that you, the parents in that grade know about that. But we will be looking into virtually running clubs as we move forward. To start the year, we're starting with no clubs or sports until we kind of get a handle on the school day. If things are going well, as I said, we have those look back periods. We'll be happy to kind of phase back into what our kids see as normal, we see as normal, normal school. Yes, at dismissal, middle school and high school kids will be on the bus together at 1:35 for dismissal. Again, those bus plans and bus stops will be posted to the website, but that we are taking into account the reopening surveys that everybody filled out. I want to thank everybody for doing that. And I also want to thank all of the parents that usually send their kids on their bus and this year are opting to drive their students to school. That was a tremendous help. As you can imagine, the space on our bus is extremely limited. So what we're doing is taking all the information that we've received from those surveys from all of you and making our bus routes accordingly, according to the responses that we received from the community. Trusting verbal answers from parents, people that send their kids people send their kids sick to school all the time. Can you trust parents?
This is a community and a team effort. We've gone over this a couple of times this evening in this presentation, and we really are trusting that our community is going to work with us to keep all of our students safe, all of our faculty safe, and to keep our building running in the hybrid model. We desperately want our students back in school, and I know many of our parents do too. And if we can work together and be truthful and honest with each other during this time where there's so much uncertainty, I believe, and I think that districts believe, that we'll move forward in a positive direction.
Thank you, Mrs. Bulba, for your kind words. Much appreciated. It is a very difficult time for everyone, I know.
Plastic dividers on the desks, so the teachers will be cleaning these. As of now, our desks are spaced 6 feet apart, like Dr. Reggio explained, from the edge of the workspace to the edge of the workspace. There are some apparatuses that we're looking into, making sure that they fit the fire codes too that the districts have to adhere to, and to ensure safety for all of our students. When we get a very clear picture, and if anything is added to the in-learning environment, and we're going to take every opportunity that we can to educate our parents about that, and again, provide those visuals. Like Dr. Reggio said, if you want to check out the 6th grade orientation video, it gives you a very good understanding of how the classrooms and the cafeteria are set up.
So this question's about, do I have to wake up at the specific time? Like, for example, period 1 starts at 7:20. Do I have to be up at 7:20 on my distance learning days? That would be like a full synchronous model. To start the year, you do not have to be in at a specific time. What we want to do to ensure equity of access for all of our families is to be able to record and post videos so that if students are unable, or maybe some families have multiple students and you're sharing one laptop as a family, we want to make sure that all students have access. So no, you're not, right now in the hybrid model, we're not asking families to have their child log in at specific class times. That doesn't mean that a teacher might not want to Zoom with your child at a specific time, but that can be arranged with the teacher by appointment during their office hour. So yes, lunch bags, coats, things of that nature will be carried. We won't have use of locker. Again, we met with our teachers last week and they're going to work really hard. Those school supply lists, everything on that list does not have to be carried back and forth to school. So what we're going to do is on the first day of school, you do not have to send your child in with a massive backpack with every supply on the list. Please do not do that. You can send them in with minimal supplies on the first day. Again, the first day is going to be really focused on teaching our students the health and safety guidelines that we need to put in place to have a safe reopening for all of our students. That is our absolute #1 goal. So send them in with some notebooks, some binders, some paper, some pencils, and some pens. And the teachers will explain to your students on the first day what they need to transport back and forth, but they're going to do everything they can to keep that to a minimum. In that regard, they'll be able to kind of keep their lunch in their backpack because it won't be overflowing with books. Water bottles, so that's a good question. The water bottle stations, the refill stations will be working. The actual water fountains will be disabled, but the water bottle refill stations will be accessible to students.
Thank you, Mrs. Meehan, for your kind words. I appreciate it. I miss Sean. I can't wait to see him in the fall. So for the hallways, we're going to have the 2 lanes, like we described before, single file, similar to an elementary model. And we're going to have extra staff in the hallways, monitors, teachers, both of Dr. Reggio and I, Mr. Pepe, helping our students distance appropriately. When the bell rings, we're encouraging our teachers to help our students exit in an orderly fashion, so that the halls don't get overcrowded. And this is going to be a process that we're learning about together and we're monitoring together, and we're going to change if necessary.
And masks will be required in the hallways.
Right.
That goes without saying, but we're going to have our teachers, like Mrs. Fabian said, dismiss the students, not just in a mass exodus, like when the bell rings. Traditionally, kids are used to getting up and walking out together. We're going to have it in a much more staggered, orderly fashion. Yes, this is, so I would definitely encourage you to read that testing plan on our website. The question was, if a child tests positive for COVID, will parents specifically be notified if their child was in the classroom? So we're going to work with the Department of Health. We will be providing the Department of Health with all the materials that they request of us. That will include class rosters, bus lists, et cetera, et cetera. So that information, the Department of Health actually is the one that makes the list of what they deem to be close contacts. And we will work with them and make sure that our communication is frequent and to our community so that everyone is aware.
So we're working with our teachers union in regards to our instructional plan and posting of the lessons and the videos so that your child can stay current to what happened during the school day. There could be different times that it is posted, but we're encouraging teachers to post it as early as possible for your child to attain that day.
Anyone has any other questions, we'll answer them at this time. If not, we will end our meeting tonight and just encourage everybody to reach out to us via email or phone if you think of anything else before we open. Also, we will continue to use the ConnectEd system, the email and the texting. If you're not on it, I'm assuming most of you are because you're here and you got our link, but if you're not on it, just contact me and we'll be happy to put you on, but we'll continue to use our ConnectEd system as well as our website, as well as our Twitter and Instagram account to update you as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you are very, very welcome. I thank you all for being here. I know it's Friday at 5 o'clock, and I know you all have families and work and many other commitments, so I appreciate you being here and listening to us and participating and answer your questions. I think the biggest takeaway is together we can make this happen for our students. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We will post the video tonight for our 6th graders, and we look forward to seeing all of our 6th graders next week. Where you can walk the halls of your school. 7th and 8th graders, we can't wait to see you again, and we miss you all. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Ms.
Good night.